on my page again because.
Engaging, enlightening, the Ken and Mike Show.
Those levels are high. No, good.
You're here.
I can adjust
And
it.
now, Ken and Mike.
Well, and welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. That little dial, I think, is you should be. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I moved it.
Got you. So
I
yeah,
don't hear you anymore.
you don't hear me anymore. I hear you.
Do you?
I do.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Ken and Mike Show. We are back. Are we better than ever?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
We're back.
We're back. Mel, how is things going over there? Good?
Looking good so far.
Okay, good. So we want to update you guys on a couple of things too, by the way, before we kind of get into it. There's a ton to talk about all the time. But first of all, welcome to the all-new Ken and Mike Show.
All new studio.
Yep.
All new equipment.
All new equipment.
All new everything.
Everything. Here.
All things have become new.
All things have become new. So I guess one of the things that we can start with is explaining why do we do this show, what it means to us, how it can benefit those who listen, how are we a local voice to our community.
How can it benefit?
Yeah, how can it benefit?
Well, it's because we are the impetus of knowledge. I mean,
Right.
everybody's just going to come to us.
Besides that.
Besides that?
Yeah.
Good question. I mean, well, like how did this start? It started what, two years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
About 2 years
Something
ago.
like that, yeah.
Finding a way to use social media as a platform for being able to voice our views, which we don't think are fairly represented on social media as a whole right now.
Especially now.
But when we started this, I just noticed originally from the Christian perspective that things were taken out of context, and we wanted to use this as a platform for people to be able to voice what their feelings were on faith and things like that, like judgment-free zone, right, like we were talking about, and it's kind of morphed into more of a, I guess, a back and forth between you and me and listeners and viewers, and it's just an open platform, and how it's benefiting people so that they can just come, voice whatever they have to voice without being shut down. Unless social media, Facebook has another opinion.
Right, and that's another discussion too, because I'm telling you, there's some other big wigs out there that are saying that, you know what, Facebook is taking it too far too, by the way.
Well, you saw what happened, Simon, you saw Poland did, right?
No, I did not.
Poland basically said to Facebook, I'm just kind of summarizing, that for every time you shut down freedom of speech, we're finding you $2.2 million.
Really?
Yes. Poland.
Wow. Maybe we should move there, do the show there.
Hey, why not?
So that's just it too. We are hopefully going to be also a voice for those who don't have one. You know what I mean? That's not to say that you don't have a voice, but you're not doing this. So hopefully we can also be a benefit to you in that way.
Right.
And obviously.
Well, that's what Burns Media Group's all about.
That's what Burns Media Group's all about. Speaking of which.
So we're not the only ones that can do a show, right?
Right, exactly.
Anybody can come in here and pay you a big, $500,000
right,
an hour
the big
to
bucks. Yeah.
come in.
Obviously, there's a studio here for people to do that on their own, but there's also a network that we're building, which is of other show hosts, such as Ted Flint with the Pac-Man podcast. Which, if you go to the BMG network on Facebook, you'll see the brand new episode of the Pac-Man podcast right there. And he talks about, and he goes into some good detail about what he thinks. Georgia right now being.
He's knowledgeable.
He's very
He
knowledgeable.
really knows what he's talking about. He's very articulate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's been doing in this for a long time. You'll see him in the studio as well. That's Ted Flint on the Pac-Man podcast. Check that out on the BMG network on Facebook. Also, you can go to buzzsprout.com as well and look for Pac-Man podcast. Also, we have somebody that's coming very, very soon. Hopefully this week, actually, or next week, and that's Kristen Coons. The name of the show, no idea. Maybe Kay Coons. I have no idea. I don't know. So, Kristen, if you are listening, you need to be thinking about that. So that is what you can expect from the BMG network. We're literally going to have a great website to show you at some point where all of us will be on there, and you can get some great content on there. Hopefully, we can be an alternative to some of the junk that you see out there. Nobody's turning to Fox News anymore. Are you?
I'm not.
Don't you have it out on the TV right now? Most,
That's not Fox News, trust me.
yeah, most people, I mean, look at Newsmax is a great one. And I'm not afraid of citing sources. Obviously, we would love for people to come to our network eventually, but we want to partner with all those guys. And that Newsmax is amazing. Check them out. But also, how can people get involved? One way is that if you want to come and be a part of this, you can do so by, you can sponsor, you can advertise. There's some great opportunities for you. You can also just, I don't know, listen, be a part, be a voice, get out there, spread the word about Ken and Mike, about Ted Flynn, about Kristen Coons, and also the multimedia services that would be provided here, as well as Mel, by the way, I should mention, he's part of this too. I don't know. Mel, you ever thinking about doing a podcast? Show? Anything?
I have, but I have a lot on my plate, so.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, eat some of that up and make some room. So, on your plate, that is.
I am not finding us on our feed though, just saying.
Okay, we are on it.
It's live, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So, also, we should tell, which we just did, we tell the audience what they can expect from upcoming shows. Hopefully, we'll have an announcement as far as when other shows are going to be happening as well. And also, big thing people loved about the show when we were on was guests.
Yes, we'll be bringing that back.
Yeah, we had people like David Horowitz, the Creation Guys. We had
Dr. David Lamb.
That's what it is. David Lamb, I can never remember his name. It was awesome. And he was part of the advisory board for the Evangelical Advisory Board.
Board of for President Trump.
That's right.
Yep.
And he had a lot of good things to say. One of those main things he left us with was pray for our president.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
safety.
That was one of the last things he said on the show, was to pray for his safety.
Yep. Yep.
Bring that
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Just back to what he said. I think one of the key things that stuck out of that interview when I spoke to him, and we spoke to him, was that President Trump actually has in the Oval Office, or in his office, I don't know if it's the Oval Office or not, but a checklist.
Yes.
A whiteboard. Remember that?
Of
all the
all.
promises
That's
that he
right.
made the American people.
Yeah.
That he was going down and then checking them off.
Yeah.
That, yes, he fulfilled them.
Well, he promised to be the president again. And I don't see that checking off yet. So.
I'll hold my breath.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe I won't hold my breath.
And we'll kind of get to that too at the rally tomorrow. But also, real quick, you can find us on Facebook, obviously, at the Ken and Mike Show, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. So check us out there. And of course, go to the BMG Network on Facebook. You'll find a lot of information there as what's upcoming. So, 2020, it's literally behind us, or is it?
No, I think we're in 2.0.
2.0 of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It's 2020 on steroids, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in 2.0.
And so we are now officially in 2021, and things, at least for conservatives, are uncertain. And what I mean by that is those on the left are absolutely sure that their president was elected fair and square, and that's that. Putting politics aside, what's wrong with their way of thinking in this particular circumstance?
That they think he was voted fair and square?
Yeah.
Well, you can have that opinion all you want.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. You can have that opinion all you want. Does that prove itself to be true? I don't know. I honestly haven't taken a side.
Yeah.
Because I'm just watching and observing.
Right.
Do I have an opinion? I think there was significant problems with the election.
Okay.
I-
Careful on your word.
I'm being very careful. And that notwithstanding, my big problem with this whole thing is for 4 years, we've heard nothing but from the other side about how illegitimate President Trump was.
Day one.
Except that he's not. He can't accept the results. There was something wrong.
Yeah.
Russian interference, foreign interference, blah blah blah. The whole thing, and that's fine. You can have that opinion. I really get that. But besides that fact, why, when it's now our turn,
Yeah.
the conservatives' turn, to say, well, something's not right with the election, not fair, there was some sort of interference, we now need to be united and accept these results.
Right.
You couldn't accept the results for 40 years, so can we protest them for about 2 months here?
Well, Whoopi Goldberg said that we should. Just.
Because I accept her opinion very highly, right?
Yeah, me too. I mean, amen and a woman. So, that's what you say there. So, listen, here's the thing. You spoke of conservatism, right? So
Mhm.
let's go on that topic a little bit. Conservatism. What it means to us, obviously. We are conservative. What is conservative? Conservative values. We believe in the Constitution. We want to live by those standards. We want to see America first. We want to see America energy independent.
A traditional moral value system.
Exactly, traditional moral value, which means in Christianity too, Judaism. So we want to see our family structure in that light. Does that make us terrible human beings? To some it may. So how do we feel about what is happening in Washington as it pertains to government itself as conservatives? That's the question that I'm posing to both of us, because the reality is the Republican Party any better than the Democratic Party, and vice versa? Where do we, you and I, Mike, and Mel too, stand both as conservatives and Christians? Where do we stand right now as it pertains to government? And that's an important question I think we should all ask if you're listening right now, and whenever you listen to this. Why do you stand where you stand? Whether it's in between or for both parties, or you have to somehow come to a conclusion for yourself as to where you stand. You really do right now.
I told you last week, and,
Yes.
and I told you prior to the show, and I'm saying it now on the air. I have come to a point where I am neither right nor left nor center nor anything.
Okay.
I've become so disgusted
Mm-hmm.
and disenfranchised by our political system that I don't want to align myself with anybody.
Yeah.
And I think what really rang that out with me was the latest with the stimulus. Is once we found out what was in the stimulus, regardless of helping the American people, is everything that was included in that had nothing to do with what it was titled as being helping the American people.
Right.
Left,
COVID relief.
left and right,
Yeah.
Republican and Democrat. We want to help foreign entities, foreign countries, pay for
Transgender.
gender stuff over in Pakistan. I mean, I don't care where you stand on it as a viewpoint or as an opinion.
Is COVID affecting gender?
That's-
Just,
I don't
you know what I mean?
You can catch a virus,
right.
but I'm sick. Sorry, I'm sick of the disconnect between the American people and our representatives.
Yes.
And that's where I've gotten to the point where, no, I am not pro-Trump. I am not pro-conservative. I am not pro-Biden the sniffer. Nothing. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm sick of the political pandering. I'm sick of the people making careers out of politics.
Yes.
They have no connection to the American people.
That's it right there.
Zero.
Connection is important, right? Especially as people, human
Yes.
beings, we're supposed to have some type of connection,
Yes.
and there's a huge disconnect.
Are we 6 feet apart?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Put your arm out. So I mean, literally, when you think about connectivity, and especially with the government, I think the American people think that they're more connected than they really are, because it's so out of touch, and it's not in our reality. We feel the effects of it. We feel the effects of what's happening in government, and because of the media being part of that as well.
Mhm.
But we don't get to be actually a part, so it seems, lately, of what determines the outcome. We should be, some of us, as the people, should be part of the determining factor of what the outcome is. And it doesn't seem like that's happening. I mean, I think that's how a lot of conservatives feel right now as far as their vote.
It's
this
smoke
time.
and mirrors,
Yeah.
man. They really make us think that we're actually part of the process.
Right,
We're not now.
right.
And I'll always say, do your duty, go out and vote, do what you're supposed to do as a citizen in this country. Fine.
Right.
I'll trumpet that all day.
Sure.
But we're not. We're not part of the system.
Yeah.
We're not part of. There's a bunch of people that make us feel good, rubber bellies every once in a while, put $600 in our paycheck or in our bank account, and we're supposed to say, oh, they're heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number one, it's our money to begin with.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I think as an American citizen, I should have more say of what you do with our money than the few representatives that are there to make these decisions.
Yeah.
It's disgusting to see the waste. We are $1 trillion in debt, but yet we want to give money to gender studies in Pakistan. We want to do, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to say this on the air. But I saw there is a research study that they're funding for anus imprint.
I saw that.
You saw that?
With the toilet?
For the toilet.
Yeah.
Do we care?
Yeah, it was
That's what
Rand
I'm
Paul. Rand Paul said, here's one thing that we can take out of the budget. Why do we need that right now?
Really? What's that have to do with COVID?
How about we just wait a little while? Okay, is that giving somebody jobs right now? I mean, honestly, who's that helping? I don't want an imprint of it.
No.
You got my fingerprints, all right?
Are people robbing banks now with their rectums?
Right, I don't know. Dude, anything is possible right now.
No, we dusted for fingerprints.
Yeah.
Didn't find a thing, but man, we found all these odd stories. You know?
I don't want to be that guy. I'm just telling you right now. So here's the reality too. I mean, again, as conservatives, this is what we want. This is what we're hoping for.
Right.
You and I also said, and we were joking, but it's real. And maybe whoever wants to ever chime in, if you want to. By the way, we didn't mention, you can comment anytime you want to during the show.
I'm trying to find the live video on our page so I can get up to see if anybody's commenting, but our video feed is not showing up on the page.
Okay, gotcha. So, and the thing is too, is that we've talked about having the old school levers where you punch in your stuff, and I don't know if many of you remember this, I'm sure you do. Not the young
Yes, the old curtain with the drawback.
Click it down and click it up, whatever you gotta do, and that's what we should go back to. No more computer stuff, anything that's Wi-Fi, anything that's computer, no. You know, so that's the bottom line, especially right now. And look, I'm not getting into the whole, I don't think it's conspiracy theory, I think it's an actual.
Well, it's funny. Every time everything seems to be a conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
wait about 15 years and it wasn't so crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you remember Harry Reid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that old guy? Well, and I mentioned this too. Do you remember when he talked about how Romney wasn't paying his taxes?
Yes.
Okay, he mentioned that. He put a plug in everybody's ear and made kind of sowed a little seeds for everybody to believe. And now I'm not advocating for Romney. Don't like the guy. I mean, as far as political stuff. However, at the end of it all, when they said, "How do you feel, Harry Reid, about what you said about Romney and knowing that you were wrong now?" Well, he didn't win, did he? That was his response. That's
And that's politics in a
that's
nutshell.
politics in a nutshell.
That's it right there.
But the Dems are okay to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, again, I know it's different parties and stuff, but the Republicans don't tend not to play like that. Do I think they should? I'm not saying that, but
I'm not even going down that road anymore. I mean, I'm tired of labeling and going back and forth. I mean, I'm sorry, I think maybe that might be where you and I will have a disconnect in that regard, because I am absolutely fundamentally tired of the political system, the two-party system, where it's the right, it's Trump did this, Nancy Pelosi did that.
right.
It's all disgusting, and it doesn't represent me, and I do not feel like I'm represented well at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's indicative of, you know, what you're gonna see here in the coming days with people are just getting fed up. And I think we need to really pay attention. Anybody who's of any power really needs to pay attention to what people are doing right now.
Yeah.
Because if you want to try and have any power control back, you might want to rein it in now.
You might want to, exactly.
Because it's gonna get ugly.
Which brings us, incidentally, to our next point, and that is tomorrow is the day. The day, okay? Not D-Day, but almost the day when the election is to be certified, okay? What are our predictions? Mike, you go.
Predictions for tomorrow? Unless a bomb drops.
Yeah.
I'm not talking physical.
Okay, good, thank you, because I will be there.
No, unless something like a bomb drops of some sort of something grand disclosure
Right.
of something happening, I don't think we're going to see a change.
The JFK Jr. showing up.
Right. That's my opinion. I
Right.
really don't think we're going to see a change. I don't really think that you know, he's got a rabbit up his sleeve that is going to overturn this whole thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. Part of me saying, just for the sake of we need to do something, I really hope the whole thing's overturned and, you know, tomorrow, you know, I'm wrong, we're having a different discussion.
Right. So, obviously, we know Trump has not been successful in the court challenges. And to this point, you know, it's not really a plausible thing. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, he hasn't won anything he's really set out to do.
One of the things though that we kind of see here though too is it says, 7 states have sent alternate electors to Congress, also known as dueling electors, okay? This means electors for Donald Trump are still in play until January 6th, which is tomorrow. Those states are Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. This keeps alive the possibility that Congress could endorse electors for Trump. I don't know if that's happening. Of course, in those contesting states, instead of Joe Biden, Trump could still win if this happens. There's other, obviously, options too. What else would happen? We know that the states must send the elector's choice to a joint session of Congress to be counted tomorrow. And again, I don't know if any of this stuff is taking place. I know that the vice president was possibly going to do something as far as be involved in that. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I'm not up on my constitutional law. So
Okay, gotcha.
I really.
Constitutionally, he is the vice president.
He has a
allowed
lot
to
of,
elect.
yeah, they have a lot of power.
Yeah.
He can, as far as my understanding, unless he, wants to commit career suicide, and get a bunch of backlash. I mean, it really comes down to how big of a set of rats, he has.
Mm-hmm.
That he could say, dude, I want answers.
Well,
Before I decide, I want answers.
Well, speaking of brass, here's the thing that some people have mentioned,
Mhm.
and that is a lot of people are being threatened not to come forward. So one of the ways that could actually change the whole course significantly is that a slew of whistleblowers facing prosecution of corruption, they could come forward. Would they do that though? I don't know. I mean, many have, and I've gotten a lot of flack for it, but nothing stuck.
I don't know, ask a couple witnesses to try to come forward, but not each other.
Right, that's just it right there. That's the issue. That's what I cannot stand. That happens every time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they can't be touched. Some of our predictions that we've talked about in private, which have to do with some of it very conspiratorial.
I hope what we were talking about is legit.
So do I.
I really do. I mean, I love conspiracy theories.
So
I don't subscribe.
Yeah,
I don't subscribe to them and say, oh, that's the truth.
Right.
But I do love conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And the one that you're talking about that I really don't want to
Mm-hmm.
divulge too much because I don't want to look like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat. But
Right.
If that is true and everything adds up the way it is, I really hope we're singing a different tune in January.
I do too. I really do.
I hope that's right. I don't see how, but I sure hope it's right.
Right. I mean, look, tomorrow. I mean, many of us people, I don't know who to say, we're going to Washington to be a part of this rally.
Do you have the comment section up? Does anyone talk about it?
I don't have it up.
Okay. Do you see it? Is anybody? How many people watching?
YouTube just won. Facebook has changed the way that they live stream,
Okay.
and every time you start to live stream, the way that they do it is really weird, and then the next time you do it, it's kind of back to some normalcy.
Okay.
It's really weird. I went through it at our church. Another church went through it. They changed the way that they do live stream, and right now it says schedule a live video.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying schedule a live video, so we're not on.
It literally shows on the page that we're on, but in the event we're not.
So are we live right now, or?
I can't see. I can see that we are live, but I can't see the video. I can see the video on my end, but I can't see it on Facebook.
Well, if it's not, we'll just pop this out. But real quick, we need to include this with all these things going. So Stop the Steal is tomorrow, the rally. Many of us will be there. What's going to happen? What's going to take place? Have no idea. How many people are going to show up? They're thinking millions. Obviously, they've called in the
National Guard.
National Guard. They're going to be part there, obviously, and they're not going to go as normal. And they're where they usually wear like yellow and black or something like that. They're going to be there, kind of incognito, because they don't want to be.
Now, I'm seeing it from both sides. That some say the National Guard is being called in because the Democrats want to attack us because they're going to get out of control, and
Right.
we need that. We need the
Right.
National Guard. But this, see, you guys are so crazy that we have to call them the National
Yeah.
Guard.
Yeah.
And I'm also seeing it is the National Guard is being called in on that, basically because they know that this is a legitimate protest and they want to defend our ability to
Yeah.
have this protest. So I don't know. How are you hearing it?
Yeah, well, I've heard other aspects as far as, for example, when there's something crazy going on, when it's conservative. Now, when I say crazy, I mean a lot of people, like people showing up, which usually they clean up after themselves, everything looks kosher afterwards. They want to tell like how horrible they all are. But when Antifa or anybody else are doing something, and they just say they're peacefully protesting when there's like a burning building behind them.
Oh yeah.
But that's just peacefully protesting.
Well, that's just for ambiance.
Right. They were getting cold. They had to start a fire, and it had to be a building that size.
You gotta keep warm. You gotta keep warm while we're protesting.
You know, and then of course they don't veer over to all the burning cars and everything else. And, people getting beat up. But that's what I see, what I hear, because they really want to tout it as how horrible the MAGA people are and how conservatives are.
Oh, we're horrendous.
Horrendous.
Oh, absolutely.
But we're not causing harm. We are doing what they're telling everybody to do, and that's peacefully protesting. Going there and saying, we want to see change. We don't want you to lie to us anymore. And if you are, like, just tell the American people the truth because we deserve it. You've had our votes, you've had this, you've had that. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, it's for everybody here.
What I don't like is the blatant hypocrisy.
Exactly.
I mean, do you remember, during a lot of these protests we saw on the news, these peaceful protests
Yeah.
and burning flags,
Yep.
flipping cars, destroying small business, destroying their own communities. But you didn't hear any reports of any, well, I could be wrong, because I did hear a couple. But the news didn't hearken all the rest that happened involved in that, especially with the leadership. I guess this latest one with the Proud Boys there,
Mm-hmm.
the leader there apparently got arrested because he burned a Black Lives Matter flag. And now the news is all over that.
Yeah.
And look how evil and disgusting these guys are. It's like, wait. We burned a flag that doesn't represent anything other than a terrorist organization.
Mm-hmm.
But you got guys on the street burning American flags when you're doing it and you love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the disconnect, it's the hypocrisy.
Right.
I am just tired of watching the news and being able to tell by the anchor or whoever's giving the news what their political bent is.
Yeah.
If I can tell by listening to your narrative of what's going on in today's current events, if I can tell your political bent, you're doing the news wrong.
Exactly. You
I
should be
mean,
reporting.
Walter Cronkite
Yeah.
back in the 70s, or 60s and 70s, I believe. I mean, if you listen to his spiel every time he gave the news, he was a very left-leaning,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't let that get into his broadcast, his politics. And you can watch his news broadcast. You wouldn't be able to tell if he was left, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later it was divulged that he was, as left as Pelosi. I'm just saying.
Right, exactly.
So if I can tell you political bent, it's disgusting.
Exactly.
You're not doing that.
Right. On the news, exactly. And we obviously are conservative. We're reporting news, but we're definitely giving our opinions as well. It's a little bit different than broadcasting. But of course, on the news, when you're working for representing a company, I get that they're saying this is what you do, but you should be reporting it as, like you said, as such.
Mhm.
They're burning the American flag. Well, I live in America. I love America. I don't want them doing that. That's how it should be. That's how it should be said for any of us.
Mhm.
With Black Lives Matter flag, I don't know. I don't really want to burn anything. I don't know what the point of burning things are. I mean, I understand make a statement, but
Hey, the 60s and 70s women burned their bras and underwear, so
oh, okay.
what's the point?
Right, gotcha. Right, all right.
It's for freedom.
Right. Yeah. No thanks. Keep your freedom. On to a different thing. Before we go on a little tiny short break by announcing a couple things, but WikiLeaks.
Assange?
Yeah, they gave
Mr.
out.
Julian?
Yeah, they gave out all their stuff. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, I haven't heard anything from it.
I looked through the file.
Right.
A lot of it's Greek to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
a lot of it's
There's a lot of information.
a lot of it's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
And
Right.
a lot of it's stuff that I'm torn
Okay.
about the whole thing. There's something to be said about being able to keep America safe, and there's information that shouldn't be leaked,
Mhm.
because it puts people in harm's way. And when it first came out years ago, I'll admit, I thought it was wrong.
Mhm.
The guy should not be doing that, because people could get killed from the information that's in there. Things that are trusted secrets that shouldn't be leaked out. But then on the flip side of that, we're also uncovering corruption.
Yes.
So I don't know where I stand on that. I really don't. I can't make an opinion. I'm glad it got divulged, and I'm glad a lot of it came out, because we're seeing how corrupt and how deep the swamp runs.
Right.
But then on the other hand, the side of it, if we're giving away, specific locations of, military installations that are top secret for America, yeah, there's that side of it too. So I don't know where I stand on it. I really don't. Should he be pardoned? I mean, in this instance, a lot of information was leaked, good and bad. Part of me was like, slap the guy on the wrist and, warn him, if this happens again,
Yeah.
you're going to hang from the gallows.
Right. Right.
But then there still reveals something in this whole thing, that there should be some sort of overseeing body that can be trusted. But I mean, in today's environment, how can anything be trusted? That is able to look through this stuff and kind of say, kind of filter it,
Yeah.
if you will, as far as legalities, as far as corruption, as far as black bags of cash being handed over to people,
Exactly.
child pornography,
Yeah. Yes.
certain sons of certain high-powered political figures doing things with people he shouldn't be
Well,
doing.
that's the thing, right
lines of
there.
cocaine off of hookers
Right.
and stuff like that.
If that were happening, and I know it happens on both sides, but if that were happening the other way around, I mean, we saw it for the last 4 years.
Mhm.
I mean, and there was nothing there. Okay, I'm not saying that the man hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, I think everybody in the whole entire world has. I mean, we've all made mistakes. But when you're when you're living in it, okay, and there's pretty good substantial evidence of things that are really horrible. Not just like, oh, dude, what are you doing? It's, oh my gosh, you should not be on the streets. You should be in, behind bars. When you see that kind of thing, it's just kind of like the news even plays it up too, like, oh, poor you and poor your son, that type of thing. I just, how's the conservatives going to look at you guys like this? I hope they kind of have that. They don't say these words, but it's like, I hope they have compassion and mercy on you guys like we do. It's like, really?
Yeah, I know.
And you had compassion and mercy on somebody who literally got spied on, did nothing, colluding with Russia, but you guys did. You guys created the dossier, you did all these things, yet
Making up lies to get
making
lies.
up lies. Right. This is the stuff that happens. But when you actually bring forth evidence, and that's what you have to question our.
I've never been
whole
a
system.
huge Glenn Beck fan,
Yeah.
but when he made basically
Switch.
the narrative,
Oh.
I watched him do. You saw it too. The video clip of just how fed up he was of everything that's going on, and
Yes.
I agree with him.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with him. We can dredge up all the evidence you want about anything, and nobody is ever held accountable.
Yeah.
How can American people continue to stand behind a government or listen to a government that they think would have our best interests in mind?
Right.
This is disgusting, and it's completely asinine.
Right.
All your emotional investment in whatever political side that you're on. Now, greatly, everything that's coming out always benefits the Democrats in some way. It always benefits the Democrats, or if it doesn't, they push it on the right and they don't care.
Right.
But you, as a moral person, a person who has lived in this country, has benefited from the freedoms of living in this country, why can't you just sit back and say, regardless of whether or not you agree with the other side, if it doesn't bode well with the Constitution and rule of law, because we can't have anything normal without we can't have a country if we don't have a rule of law.
That's right.
So how can you sit back, see everything that happens, right, wrong, indifferent, whether or not you agree with it? If it doesn't hold to a specific standard, then how can you continue to let it go on? How?
Legally, how? I mean, legally, how do we go forward? If everything is legal, that should be illegal, according to our judicial system, our whole entire law, what we have, where do you draw the line in there? That's the question. I
You know,
mean,
there is no standard
Yeah.
anymore, and it goes back to, we'll go back to our Christian teachings, what was known to be wrong is now right.
Yes.
What is right is now considered wrong.
that's right.
And this is where we are in this nation. So regardless of your political bent, when does common sense prevail? When can you finally just open your shorts and take a look down to see if you're a boy or a girl?
Right.
Why do I have to decide mentally if I am or what I am?
Or
Why-
train your children to
Right.
think like that. Like, hey, by the way, I know that you think you're this, but
Right.
give it some time. I mean, you make the decision.
Yeah, you might be something else.
I know you're 3 or 4, but just
Yeah.
give it some time.
When does common sense work?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of gone out the window right now. There is no real common sense anymore. I mean, again, we've gone back to we talk about the universities a lot. I mean, they're teaching these things.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so corrupt in those.
And it's come down to, now is good.
Mm-hmm.
But 15 years from now, I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee, but you're probably not gonna feel the same way, and that stupid decision that you made now,
Well, we
you
alluded
just
to
caused
that.
a kid
Right.
years of irreparable harm.
They're still trying to figure out who they are, and that's not healthy. And so we saw it. I mean, obviously, in college, for example, I remember learning about a specific person, and this has happened in many instances, but this one was a little different. They tried an experiment on, and later on in life, I mean, he was like, I'm not a girl, and he went back to being a boy. I mean, the parents didn't know any better. They believed the doctors. They did all this stuff, and he became, and everybody knows his story. I can't even remember it now, but he ended up committing suicide. I mean, this is what happens because they're still mentally, they're just so
Well,
corrupted.
and what disgusts me is they'll spin that, well, they committed suicide, they'll spin that fact that they committed suicide to be our fault because we didn't accept them for the way they were. And we didn't accept, that has nothing to do with it. It's the emotional and mental torment that somebody put upon themselves. I mean, we can dive into it. So I have my theory.
Right.
I don't have a medical degree, so I can't really divulge that. But I would love to know the background. I'd love to know where the parents were. I'd love to know the relationship with the father there, the whole 9 years. But to do something so drastic as to reassign yourself, and then 15 years from now, go, oops.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we've asked this to each other. Who's paying for that? I mean, really. I thought, the medical field was really about helping people in circumstances as far as
Well, what's a hypocritical oath? A hypocritical oath. Yeah.
Hippocratic.
Hippocratic.
right, yeah.
Showing my education.
Yeah.
What is the oath? To do no harm.
Right.
Who decides what harm is? If you ask me, if you're telling a 4-year-old that it's okay that he decides that he is no longer a he and he is a she, or is a it, whatever it wants to be, I say you're causing harm.
Right. And with that same thing applies to abortion, because we see that with young girls who don't have to tell anybody but the person they're confiding in, and they have this. That's not okay either. That's a whole other thing. But before we even go on a little bit and sort of get to a close here, but I want to say that, number one, thank you for tuning us in. This is the Ken and Mike Show, all new studio, all new time, all new day, Tuesdays, 6 o'clock. Also, find us on Facebook at the Ken and Mike Show. And right now, YouTube for sure, because we know that Facebook has changed some things. So if you're watching this or you see this later, also always think about YouTube because you can stream us there. Go to Twitter, Instagram. Email us at thekenandmikeshow@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns about Mike, Elijah, any feedback.
Oh,
Yeah.
people have plenty of concerns about me, I'm sure. And also take
Yeah.
advantage of the fact that the studio is open to people who might also have the same dream, same idea, same thought process that
Yes.
we do. That they have they have an opinion. They think it needs to be heard.
Yeah.
That's what Beans,
Yeah.
Burns Media Group is here for.
Yep.
So we can utilize the studio
Exactly.
and make your
That's right.
vision.
Whether it's a podcast, whether it's visual stuff, whether it's an actual show, if you want to team up with some network, of course, we'll get to know you a little bit. But if you just want to do your own thing, want to help you out. But also, if you just want to do your thing on your own and you want to rent the space while you kind of utilize our stuff, we can help you out that way too. So, again, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to check out the Pac-Man podcast with Ted Flint. We'll be seeing Mike's podcast soon. Maybe Mel can get some stuff off his plate. Mine, Kristen. We got a lot coming up.
Are you wrapping up, Ken?
I'm not wrapping up.
Oh, okay.
That's a little break. We don't have a commercial right now. No. So, quick open discussion about COVID-19. How should businesses proceed?
I was just reading that.
Were you?
I was reading a little strict for
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
So I was just reading. I didn't know what was going on.
I just knew. I knew it was
How
actually
should
great.
businesses proceed?
We've seen some businesses take some strong stands and said, no, I'm not doing that.
I think we've reached a point. I wasn't. I'm lying. I was saying in the beginning I was okay with the shutdown. I wasn't never okay with the shutdown. All right, but I could see the argument. Let me put a little asterisk next to that. I could see the argument in the beginning because we didn't know really fully what COVID was. It was new to us. We didn't know the impact. We didn't know how it affected life, how it affected. We didn't know anything about it. So I think people with rational thought, wasn't my rationale, but rational thought said, you know what, we don't know enough right now. Let's step back and isolate. Let's shut everything down, see what we got going on here, see if we can stem the tide, so to speak.
Now it's supposed to be a 2-week thing at the beginning, remember that?
Right.
Okay.
And then it moved on. But I think we've gotten to the point where if something has a 99.7% survival rate from it. Now, I want to be careful. Yes, COVID is real.
Yes.
Yes, it's a concern. I do not think it was something that was I don't know, I can't think of it. But do I think that, COVID's not real, it's a big conspiracy, it's just because we want to overthrow Trump? I'm not jumping on that train.
Right.
But I am saying that we have gotten to a point now where we need to make decisions. And is what the cause of what the shutdown is causing greater than COVID itself?
Right.
The problem.
That's the question.
Okay. I want to know what suicide rates are right now. I want to know how much drug abuse is going up to right now. I want to know how many small businesses are going down. How many guys have put guns to their heads because they can't feed their family? What are all these numbers? Because 99.7 people survive the virus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if that is true, now that I'm a person at risk too. I have health issues. Okay. I am willing to say, COVID is here to stay.
Yes.
Okay. There's not going to be a magic pill. There's not going to be a magic vaccination that is going to rid the world of COVID.
Just like the flu.
Is it more contagious than the flu? Yes. Fine. I am agreeing with you. It is more contagious.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why would it, common sense, look, we're not in the doctoral field.
No.
Common sense would say, why would it be, we've never been exposed to it.
Right.
Okay, we haven't built up the antibodies to it.
No.
Again, here's what's happening too though, it's a virus. Strands change.
Mhm.
It's going to continue to change. We're going to have to keep trying to catch up to it, just like we're trying to do with the flu all the time.
We're going to have a flu season.
Yeah.
We're going to have a COVID season. Yes, the COVID one is more risky.
Yes.
Okay?
Right now, yes.
But that being said, we need to make some decisions for the people to survive.
That's right.
Economically and even physically as human beings. Now people are saying, well, you're putting money over lives. No, I'm putting common sense over it. Okay, there are people that have died for this country that made the decision going to, so we can have this conversation today.
Right.
That we can have this like today.
Right.
I mean, you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
People that came over on freaking boats, hundreds of
Exactly.
years ago,
Yep.
counted the cost. They looked at it, they counted the cost, they said, listen, a bunch of us are going to die on the way over there. A lot of us aren't going to make it.
Right.
Our founding fathers counted the cost of what it would be to stand up against a tyrannical government. Some of us aren't going to get out of this alive. Some are willing to go. If we get caught and we don't win this thing, we're all going to hang.
Yes.
But they counted the cost, they knew the risk. We need to look at ourselves. Are we being selfish? Well, I don't want my parents to get it. I don't want my older people to get it. I don't want this to get it. I don't want to be the reason that somebody dies, this, that, and the other. We need to count the costs. We need to open things up because we may get to a point where we can't even make that decision anymore, and this whole thing is going to fall apart. I bet you if you go to the older generation, our emotions and feelings aside, who the greatest generation that came before us, and you ask them, listen, we have a choice to make. Okay, we open everything back up, but there is a chance that you being older, so that everybody is spreading and moving around again, there's a chance that you could get it. I'm getting, this is completely guessing here,
Yeah.
but I am betting most of them are going to say, for God's sake,
Go.
go.
Yeah. Yes.
They had more balls, if you will, than we back then than we do. Than we do today. Now, I talked to a couple people personally. Well, I don't want to I can't lose my family member. I can't lose that. I get that.
Right.
Nobody wants that to
Right.
happen.
Right.
But it's time, people, to let wisdom prevail. Let us open things back up. Now, there's the whole conspiracy about, well, can keep this whole thing locked down because it puts us in a place where we're going to need someone to bail us out, someone to help us, and it's going to usher in a whole socialist system. We can go down that whole route too.
Well, that's what's interesting. Okay, we live in New York State. Obviously, if you don't know that, we live in New York State. And obviously, and anybody comes here, anybody, they always say, and I heard this from a buddy just recently. I think I told you. He said, whenever I come here, I feel like I'm on the wrong side of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, I can see
And
that.
many people do from the South. He's like, everywhere's a little bit skewed right now. He's like, but New York is the worst. Why is that? Usually it comes down to leadership. We have a horrendous leader right now. This guy, you can't tell him anything. He knows everything. You ever see some of the debates,
Oh my
public
gosh,
hearings that they
don't
come
say
up?
anything, yeah.
He says, and right away, like, I don't like your tone. I mean, he starts going right into it. It's like, I didn't say anything.
Who
I'm
are
just
you?
asking- Right.
Idiot.
Yeah.
You work for me.
You're a servant.
You're a
to the
servant
public.
to the people. Yeah, you're a public servant.
So how dare you talk to me like that? I tell you what, that guy, and he strong arms everybody, and thinks he can, and he gets away with it. Though.
Hey, on a side note,
Yeah.
he's my best friend.
Oh,
I actually like Cuomo right now.
really?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because Buffalo Bills have made the playoffs,
Mm.
and he said that he's going to open up the stadiums for fans to come in to see a playoff.
Oh, why? Because he's going?
Yeah, because he's it's like, me being a Bills fan, I like him.
Because if
Much
he went, he
more
would have
now.
to justify it somehow.
Yeah,
And he's-
just
yeah.
I saw a lot of fans have said that they're going to actually try to
No, there's a petition.
petition the
There
game.
is a petition to not let Cuomo in the game.
They should put him in the middle of the field
Yes.
and have the old, what do you call it, kill the carrier. Give him the football and see what happens.
Nomo
Yeah.
Cuomo.
No.
No, Cuomo. Get your mask.
Yeah.
No behind it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think you're right. I think that's something we have to just say, no, man, you can't make us do this. Because as we know, most businesses that came out of this, that came through this, did it very, it was a small little line that they were almost there. The threshold was not good. And if it happens again, they're gone. I mean, many businesses already lost their businesses, and
No, this dovetails into the other thing that you wanted to talk about.
that's
It dovetails right into it. Because I can see where this is going. I can see the writing on the wall. Fine. We're going to open everything up.
Yeah.
We have the
Yeah.
vaccine now.
Yes.
The only way we can open everything up and the only way you can start doing business again is every New Yorker has to have the vaccine.
Well, he said today, I heard it on the news, I don't know if it was today that he said it, he said, I want to see everyone with that needle in their arm. It was something like that. It was like
Heroin?
or a vaccine in their arm. He said something like that. It was like in the arm. And I'm like,
You see me twitching in the corner.
yeah. I'm like, you know what, man? Did he get it?
Oh, I'm sure for display he got it.
Right. He probably did that little thing that where they put it in, they kind of just roll their thumb around it and don't actually push it.
I've seen a couple videos like that.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine.
Right. Yeah.
You know what their excuse is?
Yeah.
Well, that happens all the time.
Oh.
They missed the photo op, so they just do it again.
Oh. Yeah, stick the needle back in my arm.
They just do it again, and they just
Unless it's fake needle.
they do it for the photo op. That happens all the time.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
But then if you do, just say, just for a photo op.
Right.
Make that disclaimer.
Right. Why is everybody cheering? Except it's a photo op. Why are they cheering? Why don't they just why isn't it a standstill photo that everybody's just like, everybody's like, woo, and they're all going off and all happy like they're on video because they were on video. Then why did you do that? What was that? What was the purpose of
Oh,
that?
we missed it. Can you do it again? Well, no, I got shot.
Why don't you just really give
So
it to
we're gonna
somebody?
put it into your arm again this time, but we're not gonna hit the plunger.
Because you know that they're saying right now, as we've read before, I mean, there's a proposed vaccine passport that's coming out, so that you have to get into movie theaters, music concerts, restaurants, bars, shopping malls. You gotta show your little passport. I've got the COVID vaccine.
You know what's going to rise?
I would love to hear it. Right.
Amazon, online orders.
Yeah, well,
Grubhub.
They do it. They said during this whole shutdown, Walmart and Jeff Bezos, whatever the heck his name is from Amazon, have all profited, hand over
Yeah.
fist during this.
Think about Christmas. I mean, I saw it here with you. I mean, I don't know if they were Amazon boxes, but I ordered I had
Yeah, my whole Christmas was on Amazon.
stacks
Yeah.
of boxes until we finally got them out of the boxes. But that's why?
So who's really profiting off of this?
No.
I mean, you can go down that train
Yeah.
too for conspiracy theories, but that's besides the point. We got to make a common sense decision to just open things up. And this is going to sound crass, like I have no heart, and I lack empathy. So be it.
Yeah.
Open it up, let the pieces fall, and I'll take my chances.
I think we can still be cautious, just
Yeah,
like we have
obviously,
been.
yeah, I'm not going to go around with
No,
the
no,
board on.
no. I'm not saying that as hey, be cautious. I'm saying why are we shutting down? Who's not being cautious in this?
Right.
Again, because we see too. Okay, the flu it's amazing how all of a sudden everybody's cured from the flu this year, and COVID is just rising. But it's because we're wearing masks. So the mask protects us from the flu, but we're not wearing our mask. So we happen to know that COVID's coming. Take your mask down. I want to get.
Yeah, I started reading an
what's the
article about that
hypocrisy on
today.
that, though? It's just
I don't. I mean, I say that we kind of say that because it makes a good meme.
yeah.
And it makes it kind of funny, but with flu is on the rise, or COVID's on the rise because nobody's wearing a mask, or flu that's down because everyone's wearing a mask. It makes a good meme. I mean,
Yes.
So I said, is there any logic to this? I did a little research on it, and they're saying, from what I can gather, the argument is because we've changed our patterns and the way we live as a society now, that the flu isn't as prevalent this year as it has been in years past.
Well, you do get the flu, you can get it anyway. But I mean, obviously breathing and stuff like that, you can get it.
But the argument's going to be because COVID is that much more contagious.
Right. And I think it is in the fact that what I said earlier is that we haven't been exposed to it before. Again,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a child. If you were younger, a lot of people back in the day before the vaccine, or even when they weren't mandated like they are now, to go to school and stuff like that, nobody got the MMR. I mean, nobody had to get the mumps, measles, and stuff like that. They got it. They actually got the measles.
Mhm.
And what happened? They had a little bit of red spots on them. They had the flu for a little while. And they were
And
better.
there were extreme cases.
Yes.
With
Which
everything.
was 0.0 whatever, I mean, again, 99 point whatever survival rate. But there's always a compromise there. Now, in certain circumstances. But now they're immune for life, naturally. They don't have to get booster shots, they don't have to get, hopefully, because again.
Yeah, but they're saying you can't be immune for life for COVID. Once you've got it, you can still get it again. So, what's the argument for that?
I would say your body would build up antibodies to what the strain was now. So it's kind of ready for the next portion of it. So your body obviously can fight it off on its own. If you can fight it off the first time, I think you can fight it off again. I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not in the medical field, but logic would tell me so. That same thing with the flu. I mean, most people will say, okay, you're sick for a couple of days and you get over it. In most of the cases. I mean, that kills a lot of people as well. Usually it's because they're older.
Let me ask you a question,
System.
kind of a side note. I'll kind of put you on the spot a little bit. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
What is the threshold? All right, right now we say COVID. I use an arbitrary number, but I do think I did read somewhere that the survival rate for COVID is 99.7, around there.
Okay.
Even if it's, all right, let's say it's 90, say 2% of everybody dies. Hypothetically. What is the number that that us conservatives will sit back and heed their wonderful knowledge and wisdom, that it would be something to consider, that, okay, we need to all mask up and go into quarantine and sit inside and wait for the test? Is it a 10% death rate?
Right. Okay.
Is it a 5%?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question though. I mean, it is a virus, so
Right.
if we all sat in our houses and did nothing, ordered everything, and again, it's still going to come through somehow. I mean, everybody's touching stuff, even if you order things. But even still, if we did everything you possibly could to just do exactly what they said in quarantine, is the virus going to just die on its own? I mean,
No, it's not going anywhere.
you see what I'm saying?
This virus is not, I don't know which French it is,
Right.
but
It's bloated. It's
it,
been overblown.
yeah, it's not as detrimental, deadly as.
Would you say that it's been politicized?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Regardless of where you stand, COVID is real, but hasn't been politicized. Oh, yeah, it's got a tutu of makeup on, man. This thing has been propped up as this is my baby doll to win whatever feelings of whatever political party.
You gotta stand on. You gotta have some kind of platform to stand on.
Yeah,
Especially if you're
without a
anybody.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt. Is this on par with the plague? No.
No. Again, a pandemic. I mean, what classifies a pandemic?
Well, I don't even think we're at the threshold with the CDC's own guidelines of what a pandemic is. But yet we're still classifying it, and we're still pumping it up.
Because of this dark winter.
There is a new strain.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
A new, more contagious strain. Notice how they're saying it's a much more contagious strain. No one's saying, no one's highlighting, it's a much more deadly strain. They're not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying it's a more contagious strain. Okay, so.
Right.
Okay, so I'm more likely to get this one. Am I more likely to die from it? That's what I want to know. Notice how the numbers that you put on the news are always the number of cases going up.
Mm-hmm.
Great. The cases, no, not great, but all right, that sucks. Cases are going up. What is the death rate? Yes, the deaths are going up, I guess, a little bit. But,
Well, I can't wait to see in 15 years when we look back and say, what did they know? When did they know it? Before this actually even ever happened.
You think we're going to get that far? If things go the way they are, in 15 years, we're all going to be working in concentration camps.
Okay, so that goes to our last point before we go in, and I'll ask you one last question. I mean, I'll ask ourselves, both of us. So that's another discussion. There's on paper right now, they're talking about having detention centers here. Okay, because we got our wonderful leader who's going to the Bills game, which is awesome. Again, I think they should play Kill the Carrier. So they have a piece of legislation going forth that's going to say what if you don't take the vaccine, because he wants to see this in their arms. You're going to a detention center. You're going to be prosecuted for this. And while you're there, guess what you get to do? You get the vaccine. I want the vaccine, but you need it because we need to, have herd immunity. The only way we can do that is by, the numbers keep bouncing around all over the place. 80%, 87%, whatever it is, to have herd immunity. So if we have a new contagious strain, though, how many more vaccines do we have to get? Because obviously this vaccine is going to be like the flu vaccine, which is only going to, according to people who get it, I feel a little bit better, but somehow they still get the flu, even though but it's not as bad. It helps it settle a little bit. It's not as bad as just give me the stinking thing, okay? I mean, let me be. If you have the vaccine, I guess you're better off. Right? That's always my argument when it comes to the vaccinations. If you have the vaccine, what are you so worried about? You're obviously protected, right? According to your standards, you're protected because you got the vaccine, you got the MMR, you got
Yeah,
this.
I love the fact that, when they ask the doctor, okay, so I can go back to they still got to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Why would I get the vaccine?
Yeah.
Can I do it from 6 feet? No, still got to keep 6 feet.
Not even just juiced up, and then
Why?
you have to wear the mask.
So what is the point of this freaking vaccine?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that, no, I don't even know. What's the point? I'm
We're
not
making money.
Well, it's money and power.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's money and power.
I don't even think it's money. I don't think it's so much money anymore. I think it's just control.
Yeah.
Yeah, but control. You
It's
get control by power, or I'm sorry, you get control by money.
It's
Yeah.
just.
And it's not just American money, obviously, because ours is pretty inflated.
It's just control. It's complete control.
Yeah.
So who am I going to bow down to now? And I think, in light of your discussion, will this pass? Because it's now up for vote, right?
Yes.
So will that pass?
Yes.
I don't know. If it does, I think, and this is my personal opinion, and I really, I hope this happens, and you guys can, drive me away in a straitjacket. But I think the American people are finally having enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead, pass it. You're gonna lock us all up? Because I am tired of this.
Yeah.
Absolutely tired of it. I will not take your vaccine. I will take my chances. I live in New York State. You're gonna shut my business down? How? I just hope everybody in the local community, it's statewide.
Yeah.
Just gives a big middle finger to Governor Cuomo and says, listen, this is a free country. I am going to do as I please as long as I'm not murdering somebody and go about my life.
You know what's interesting about this, and we could turn this into like a 2-hour show right now. There's so much to talk about. Hopefully we're taking it slow because that's the kind of the point. We kind of want to get into some details here, but just teaching our kids about certain things. Now, you obviously know about Paul Revere. I mean,
Yeah, so,
well, I'm just saying, how he obviously, what he did. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, he went around and he made sure that the British were coming. Now, during that period of time, I was teaching my son the other day, and I was like 1770s or whatever it was. I was like, do you know, dude, that there was redcoats like literally right around where we are right now. They were around, so you'd see them, but there was the Liberty, what do they call it? Sons of Liberty, and there was a secret society. So there was a lot of secret things going on, especially in Massachusetts. They were passing along. They had secret codes, so nobody knew what they were saying. But if they got caught, they were publicly sometimes hung or shot or whatever, because the British were always constantly watching. The redcoats were watching. And in that time, it was friends against friends, brothers against brothers, because somebody was too scared, and other people were more like. So I was explaining to my son. So some people were kind of like, if you had a friend right now, you'd be like, why aren't you and your family like standing up with us? With the Sons of Liberty as cowards, and that was a big word at the time. And it made you kind of cringe a little bit. And then you had other people who would turn you into the British because they didn't want to get in trouble. Whatever they had to do to stay away. So that's not to that extreme. But we see that now.
We're getting there.
We are getting there.
We're getting there.
We're seeing that to that extreme.
Well, if you have more than 10 people at your Thanksgiving table, you got to call your neighbor.
Right, exactly.
So we're there.
It's already there. There was an actual video of, I forget where exactly it was, but it was 6 people at a house having a gathering. The neighbors called the police on them. The police came and physically tried to take them out of the house. They arrested two of the members of the household.
Where was this?
I forget where it was. I saw it today. I watched the video of it.
It was a recent thing?
Yeah, it was a recent thing.
When did they say that we have to have a minimum of certain people in our houses right now?
It wasn't here in New York. It was some other state, but the neighbors called them in because they had 6 people at their household, and the police came. And you can watch the video. It's online. You can watch the video of police officers dragging 2 guys out, and it says that they arrested 2 of them.
That's unbelievable. Okay, so to our final point, because we're getting to the end here. Where's the church in this, and where should it be? We know. I mean, we've kind of been talking about it.
I'm not going to be allowed in church anymore if I give my opinion.
Right. Should we be standing up?
I think it's time that the church gets their head out of the proverbial backside and does something.
Well, I want to put a plug in for one of our buddies that we know, the creation guy, Pat Roy. I don't know if they do, because I think Kyle moved.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're still, but Pat's been going around to certain places and interviewing.
I saw that.
Did you see
those videos? Are amazing.
Did you see the one that he talked about? Should we follow the mandate as a Christian?
That was the one in Washington, wasn't it?
I don't know. It's just him under a pavilion. I think he talks about it as a Christian, and it's pretty. Take a listen. Pat Roy. He's so some buddies of ours, old buddies who we'll have on at some point. Yeah, like you said, I think that we should not take the bait. Look at those times back in the day. And I'm not saying that we go to war. What I'm saying though is that they fought for the rights. They stood up. There were people who went in churches at times and said, "Hey, we need every ready man that's available in this church. We need to go now. We need some fighters." And you know what they did? I mean, even the Reverend. We see it in The Patriot, for example. That's a really great scene. Remember that? That really did happen. I mean, people really had to say, like, we can't do this anymore, guys. I love my family too much. We've got to fight for something.
If we don't stand, what are we going to have to fight for 10 years from now? If we don't stand now, if the body wants to protect the freedoms that it has in this country right now to worship God openly, to be able to gather together in worship, if we don't stand now, I fear that we're not going to be able to do it. We're going to wind up like China.
Yeah. Well, who somewhat owns us right now? Because we can go in so many different
directions.
Especially with China and Russia.
But now is the time for the church to stand up and represent. There was a time in this country where the church dictated policy.
Yes.
Right now, policy is dictated the church.
That's right.
And I am sick and tired of it. It's time for us to, like I said, use some testicular fortitude. And it's time to stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ himself, he he was out with COVID. He was out, let's take the lepers.
Mhm.
He was out there touching the lepers,
Right.
which back then, oh my gosh, if you were to do
Yeah,
that,
I remember you hear that,
yeah.
yeah.
He was out there touching the lepers. Let's go out and touch people
Yeah.
with COVID. Let's open things up. You know, Christ was sitting there calling people, you know, brood of vipers.
Yes.
Does that sound like a compliment to you?
Right.
No, it's time to stand up.
You have Christians say that was then, that's how Jesus handled us now, okay?
Hey,
We just,
That was then.
Yeah.
The last time I read my Bible, God was the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Mhm.
Okay, so I worship the same God that had some backbone
right,
back then.
that
He
said
has the
greater
same-
things that you'll do.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll do also.
Yeah.
So stand up now, and so maybe we can turn something over to our kids that's worth fighting for.
That's right.
Because right now it's just we're just laying down and just saying, yeah, screw that. Church,
Yeah.
stand up. The church isn't open; they're a bunch of
Yeah.
cowards.
There you go. On that note, and by the way, so I have hopefully a lot of information to bring to you. Next week after tomorrow's rally, we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
Things could change dramatically. They may not. We don't know.
So Kenny, I'll pray
Yeah.
for you
All right.
because you're making the trip.
Yeah, I'm making the trip.
Okay.
I'll be there, and hopefully I have some great detail when I come back.
All right. Well, get back before dark, will you?
Yeah. I'm with some good people. I'll just hide behind them and then get in my car and go. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in again. The Ken and Mike Show on Facebook. Go to BMG Network on Facebook and check out some more stuff that's going on there as well. And also YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Mike, always a pleasure.
Yes. Awesome.
Tuesday next week,
Tuesday.
same time as this grows.
Eastern
Standard
Standard
Time.
Time.
That's right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Ken and Mike Show.
Yes.